ओम गणानां त्वा गणपतिगुं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमं ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पतान् शृण्वन्नोतिभिः सीदसादनं श्रीमहागणाधिपतये नमः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुस्साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। Om. Dear friends, we have to commence this 37th shloka of 3rd chapter, Adhyaya 3, that is Kamayesha Krodhayesha Rajoguna Samudbhavaha Mahashano Mahapapma Vidhyena Miha Vairinam. I explained that shloka in the last class. I just explained in the sense, my own initial explanation I have given. We have to read Shankaracharya's Bhashyam. The context is like this. We are discussing the situation of a person. We have seen in that earlier shloka also. We are discussing the situation of a person who is aware of Shastra but not so strongly rooted in Shastra, and so his nature, whatever nature it is, whether it is Sattva Guna, Rajoguna or Tamo Guna, it is shaking that man, and then it is dragging him here and there. So he is still being disturbed by these gunas. So though he is anichannapi varshneya, so he doesn't want to be dragged, but still he is getting dragged. So that is the situation. In that context, Lord Krishna gave an answer. Kamayesha Krodhayesha Rajoguna Samudbhavaha. It is this desire which is actually pulling you, which is dragging you. So from your original position, from your state of say aware, you want to be a seeker, you want to be in the path of knowledge, but then this Kama and Krodha, these are one and the same, both are one and the same. So this Kama, which again is transforming or mutating into the shape of a Krodha, this is dragging you. So that is what Krishna is saying. So let us see this Bhashyam. So here we are seeing a sort of a tussle between what Shastra says and what the Swabhava or nature does, the Prakriti does. So that is it. So we will see this Bhashyam. Shrunutvam tam vairinam sarvanarthakaram yam tvam pruchhasi. So you listen. Shrunutvam means you listen. Tam vairinam, about that vairi, about that enemy, sarva anarthakaraha. So which is the root cause of all anartha, which is the root cause of all misery, sarva anarthakaram. It is the thing which creates all anartha and all misery. Yam tvam pruchhasi, about which you are asking. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Aishwaryasya Samagrasya Dharmasya Yashasas Shriyah Vairagyasya atha mokshasya Shannam Bhaga Itingana. Itingana, iti plus ingana, itingana. Okay. So here, Shankaracharya is giving the meaning of what is the meaning of Bhagavan. So on earlier occasions, on so many times, we have seen Bhagavan Uvacha. We have come across this Bhagavan Uvacha, Arjuna Uvacha, Sanjaya Uvacha, Dhritarashtra Uvacha. We have seen all that. So though earlier it has come, Bhagavan Uvacha, he has not explained the meaning of Bhagavan. Only here he is explaining the meaning of Bhagavan. So let us see what is that significance. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, Bhagavan Lord Krishna is saying like this, Aishwaryasya Samagrasya, and he is giving the meaning of Bhagavan. What is this Bhagavan? Dhanavan means one who is having dhanam. Balavan means one who is having balam or strength. Bhagavan means one who is having bhaga. What is the meaning of bhaga? So bhaga in the context of Vedanta, it means this. What is that? Aishwaryasya Samagrasya. Samagrasya Aishwaryasya. The totality of all, say, lordship. Aishwaryam, we know what is Aishwaryam. Aishwaryam does not mean wealth. Wealth is Shriya. Shri is wealth. Aishwarya, wealth is one of the part and parcel of it. Aishwarya is lordship. Ishaha. Ishasya bhavam Aishwaryam. Ishwarasya bhavam Aishwaryam. That is, Ishvara means what? One who rules, one who dictates, one who commands. Ishvara is that, it is that. Ishwarasya bhavaha Aishwaryam. One who is an Ishvara, that nature is called Aishwaryam. But when we say the word Ishvara, we should not think of that Shiva who is dancing with Parvati on Mount Everest and whatnot. So that is different. We are talking about the Supreme Being here. We are talking about the Supreme Being who is, in whom these things like Vishnu, Rudra and all these things, Shiva and all these things manifest. So we are talking about that Supreme thing. So the totality of that Aishwarya. Aishwarya means lordship over everything. He is the command center, let us say. He is the command center for everything. Then Dharmasya. For this dharma, we know, this establishment of order, this universal order, that is what is dharma. So this word samagrasya, it associates with other words also. Samagrasya, Ishwaryasya, Samagrasya, Dharmasya, Samagrasya, Yashasaha. So that is how we have to take it. That is the totality of Aishwarya, the totality of Dharma, the totality of Yashas, the totality of Shriya. That is how we have to take it. So Dharmasya, I said, that is the universal order. So he is responsible, he is responsible for that universal order. Yashaha, Yasha is what? Fame. Fame you get by doing several good deeds, not one good deed, some sporadic good deed, but over a period of time, that is your nature. Your nature is to do all good and effective, commendable things. That is what gives fame. Yashasaha, Shriyaha. Shriyaha means of Shri. Shri means Lakshmi. Shrihi. In Sanskrit, the Lakshmi, when we have to refer to Lakshmi, Shrihi, we have to say. Not merely Shri, but Shrihi. There should be a Visarga also next to Shri. Shrihi means Lakshmi. Shriyaha means of Lakshmi. The totality of Lakshmi. Shriyaha Samagrasya. Samagrasya Shriyaha. Of the totality of this Lakshmi. Then Vairagyasya. So with all these things, it is also associated with Vairagya. What is Vairagya? Vairagya is not throwing away everything. Vairagya, the common meaning of Vairagya we get is throwing away everything. But I have told several times, but Vigataha Ragaha Yasmat Sa Viragi. Vigataha Ragaha means you don't have attachment. You may have everything. You may be a ruler like King Janaka. We have come across this example of King Janaka earlier. So a King Janaka, he is having everything. He is commanding a kingdom. But then he is not having a raga. He is not having attachment. He is not saying, this is mine. I am the boss. I am the boss feeling is not there in case of Janaka. So that is why he is a viragi. Viragasya bhavaha vairagyam. Vairagyam is what? Abstract noun for viragi. Viragi is somebody who is one who has got over that feeling of attachment, etc. That particular state of being is called vairagyam. So that is the meaning. Vairagyasya, that is Samagrasya Vairagyasya. So he is the monument of Aishwarya, he is the embodiment of Dharma, he is the embodiment of fame, he is the embodiment of all Shri, that is all plenitude, and he is the embodiment of dispassion. So that is how we have to take it, dispassion and Vairagya. Vairagya means you may have anything, you may not have also. Vairagya does not mean you have everything and then you have, not like that. And pretend to be neutral and pretend as though you don't want anything. It's not like that. You may not have anything also. Whether you have or whether you have not, you do not have any attachment to that. If you have, you may be using it for social good. If you don't have, okay, you are happy within your own means. So that is what is Vairagya. So Vairagya is not deliberate throwing away of what all you have. So that is what whatever is there, whatever you have got by way of Dharma. Dharmyam means something which is attained by Dharma is Dharmyam. So Dharmyam Artham you can have. Dharmyam Kamam you can have. Whatever is permitted, whatever is sanctioned, whatever is within the ambit of Dharma you can have. So that is okay. That is for an ordinary man. But for a sannyasi, of course, total sannyasi is totally different. Sannyasi is different from Viragi. Let us see the subtle difference. Sannyasi is somebody who totally gives up all these things and totally gives up. A Viragi, he is somebody who is totally dispassionate, who is not having any attachment to that. He may, by virtue of being, say, a king or so, he may be a ruler, but still he is a Jnani. A Jnani is a Viragi. Sannyasi, Jnani can be a sannyasi if he wants, by totally abandoning all these things. But a king, of course, he is not supposed to do that sannyasa. So, vairagyasya atha mokshasya. Moksha is what? Moksha is total liberation. Liberation means that is he should be Brahmavid Brahmaiva Bhavati. He should be in that state of mind that he is aware of Brahman and he is a Brahman. So that is what is this six. This is Aishwarya, the totality of Aishwarya, the totality of Dharma, the totality of fame, the totality of Sri, the totality of dispassion, that is Vairagya, the totality of moksha, that is being in that state. All these things put together, it is called bhaga. Shannam bhaga iti ingana. Ingana means that is the indication. Ingita jnanam we say. Ingita is something which is indicated. So ingana is something which is an indication. That is the indication of, that is the meaning of bhaga. So bhaga, all these things where it is located, it is Bhagavan. So why is, Shankaracharya, he has not given this meaning earlier, and why he is giving it here? So in fact, when I was thinking over that, I also could not find any explanation anywhere. But what it occurred to me is that probably here Arjuna is in a say dilemma. He wants to go on a sannyasa path. So he wants to totally abdicate or his dharma, and then he wants to go on a sannyasa path. So probably he wants to tell Arjuna that as a king, as a ruler, it is your duty to combine all this. Look at me. Bhagavan is something who has to be emulated. Bhagavan, Lord Krishna is a model. Lord Krishna is a model to be emulated. That is what he was saying earlier also. Yadyad acharati shreshtaha tattadev etaro janaha. Whatever Lord Krishna does, the other people emulate. So Lord Krishna has to be emulated, he has to be followed, not merely worshipped. So the basic problem with us is, we don't emulate great people, we only worship them. So that is because that is a sort of escapism. That is because the mind is very comfortable. A few days ago, I was there in one ashram. That name, of course, name I will not tell. There is an ashram where there was a book release function. The book release was about Vivekananda Sukti Sudha, all these noble sayings of Vivekananda. Some great scholar has translated into Sanskrit, and then all Sanskrit verses, very beautifully translated. So that a book release function. So at the end of the function, there was a Harati and whatnot. There was a Harati. Then worship of Lord Swami Vivekananda. Then worship of another Swami in whose ashram that particular, of course not living Swami, now no more, who has attained Samadhi. So that Swami. So you go to any matha, there is a worship of that Swami. We are not following the teachings of that Swami. So all these elderly people who came to that function, so they were very happy that at the end of the function, there is a feeling that yes, the day is, like they say, my lunch is earned today, so my dinner is earned. So they go and happily they stay, do some bhajan and then do Vivekananda bhajan and go back home, forgetting what is the contribution of Vivekananda. Same is the case with Shankaramatham. You go to Shankaramatham, Shankaracharya never expected his followers to worship him. But we have now put up a huge idol for Shankaracharya, and we do all this bhajan and we do Ashtottara, Shatanamas and whatnot. So this is what is human mind. We worship people instead of following them. So that is a very easy course for the mind. It is part of escapism. So that we have to avoid. Maybe for that reason, Lord Krishna is saying this. The Shankaracharya is giving this meaning of Bhagavan here, just to show that Arjuna is supposed to follow this. Arjuna is supposed to understand the meaning of this Bhagavan. So maybe from that point of view, not only Arjuna, but we the readers, we have to understand the meaning of Bhagavan, because it is an integrated personality, where all these things, Vairagya on one hand and wealth on the other, then Aishwarya on one hand and again Dharma, Moksha, all these things, they are not discordant things. They can be in harmony. That makes you a Bhagavan. So that is the position that that is the model for Arjuna also, and that is the model for everybody. So that is the meaning here. Of course, leaving somebody who wants to be on a sannyasa path, for somebody like Shankaracharya, that is not the model. For all of the people who are in this world, who are supposed to follow the path of Dharma, this is the model. So that is it. Then Aishwaryadi, okay, Shannam Bhaga iti Ingana. This group of 6, it is called Bhaga. So then this Karma Yogi, this is basically all these things can coexist in a Karma Yogi. That is it. And a Jnani like Krishna, Lord Rama was also a Rajarshi. Lord Rama we know, and Janaka was a Rajarshi. So all these people, they are the models. Then Aishwaryadi Shatkam, Yasmin Vasudeve, Nityam Apratibandhatvena, Samasthena cha Vartate. Okay, he is quoting another shloka. Aishwaryadi Shatkam. All this Shatkam means the 6, the group of 6 is called Shatkam. So this group of 6, Yasmin Vasudeve, in that Vasudeva, Nityam Apratibandhatvena Samasthena cha Vartate. Samasthena means Samastam. Samastam, we know what is Samastam. Samastam is whole. So that is in totality. Samasthena, in their wholeness they are there. Nityam Apratibandhatvena, in a very unchallenged, undisputed manner. Pratibandha, we know, Pratibandha is some challenge or some obstacle. Apratibandhatvena, that is something which is undisputed, unchallenged, something which is invincible, not invincible here, unchallenged manner, in an indisputable manner. All these things, they exist in their totality. So that is the meaning here. Samasthena cha Vartate. So next shloka he is quoting, Utpattim pralayam chaiva, Bhutanam agatim gatim, Vetti vidyam avidyam cha, Savachyo Bhagavaniti. So this shloka also says, what is this? Utpattim pralayam chaiva. So Bhagavan is also somebody. These two shlokas are from Vishnu Purana. That is what the book says. It says Utpattim pralayam chaiva. Utpatti is origin. Pralayam means the resolution of all this Srushti. Not only the origin of this Srushti, this creation, and also this resolution of this Srushti. Bhutanam agatim gatim. So the emergence of all these beings. Agati means coming into being. Bhutanam agati. Bhuta means not some devil or anything. Bhuta, normally we say Bhuta, Preta, Pishacha and whatnot. Bhuta does not mean devil. Bhuta means what has come into being. That is called Bhuta. Uttishtantu Bhuta Pishacha yete bhumi bharakaha, we say. We are not referring to any bhutas. We are referring to our own chitta vrittis. When we do Sandhya Vandan, in the very beginning there is a mantra. Uttishtantu Bhuta Pishacha yete bhumi bharakaha. So there when we say bhumi, we are not referring to this bhumi. All these devils which are there burdening this bhumi, that is not the meaning. Literal meaning, if you see that without any philosophical understanding, it is that. All these demons which are there, which are a burden to the earth, it's not the meaning. So Bhuta Pishachaha yete bhumi bharakaha. Bhumi means yoga bhumi. There are 7 levels of yoga bhumikas. Saptavida yoga bhumika, that is there in Yoga Vasishtha, they do describe. So different levels of your spiritual journey, there are so many steps you have to climb. So these 7 steps are something like 7 bhumikas, 7 layers, 7 floors. So you have to climb the 7th floor, and then after the 7th floor you get your knowledge, your attainment. So attainment of knowledge is through a gradual process, a krama path, a gradual path. So that bhumi there refers to yoga bhumika. So this bhuta is something which is coming into being. What is it? That chitta vritti which is eating you from inside. Pishachaha. Pishacha means, what is Pishacha? The meaning of Pishacha is Pishunam Ashnati iti Pishachaha. Pishunam means human flesh. So all these chitta vrittis like this kama, krodha, raga and all these things, they are eating us from inside. They are tormenting us, they are eating us from inside. So that is why they are called Pishachas. Pishacha does not mean any devil or anything. So anyway, so here Bhutanam agatim gatim. So coming into being of all these bhutas, all the beings, the emergence of all these beings, and gatim is the departure. All the emergence and also the departure of all beings. So he knows. Then Vetti, he knows. Vetti means janati, he knows. Vidyam avidyam cha. He knows what is vidya and what is avidya. He knows what is ajnana and what is jnana. So he is Savachyo Bhagavaniti. So he should be called Bhagavan. So in Vishnu Purana, of course, in Puranas there are so many descriptions. So Shankara of what is a Bhagavan. So there will be so many descriptions. But Shankaracharya has identified these two shlokas which are appropriate to this context, and then he has given us here. So he is the person. So what the meaning of this shloka, if we see, so it shows the earlier shloka showed that so all these qualities are integrated in one person. Then this shloka says that this Bhagavan is somebody who is talking about some eternal truth. He is not talking about some contextual truth. Arjuna, okay, in this context you do this war. It's not like that. What Krishna is saying here is an eternal truth. So in order to show that, so he is saying this shloka, Utpattim Pralayam, the coming into being of all the beings and disappearance of all the beings. He is the man who knows what is Jnana, he is the one who knows Ajnana. So that is what is called Bhagavan. So that is how it is, we have to understand it. Then Utpatyadi Vishayam cha Vijnanam Yasya Sa Vasudevo Vachyo Bhagavan iti. So he is the person, such a person who knows what is this Utpatyadi Vishayam, the Srushti and the Pralaya and all these things. He is aware of it. So he is the person who can give you some eternal truth, some eternal guidance, some guidance which is valid eternally. So that sort of Vijnanam Yasya Sa Vasudevaha Vachyaha Bhagavaniti. So that Vasudeva should be called Bhagavan. So that is it. Then he is now coming to Shloka. So Sri Bhagavan Uvacha, he has explained, now he is coming to Shloka. Kama iti. Kama yesha Sarvaloka Shatruhu Yan Nimitta Sarva Anartha Praptihi Praninam Sa yesha Kamaha Pratihataha Kenachit Krodhatvena Parinamate. So he is just explaining what we discussed earlier, that is the same desire which when obstructed by somebody else or some other reason, for some reason, then you get angry with that thing. Your visa is delayed, you get angry with the embassy people, your something else is delayed, so you want something else, so somebody else snatches it away. So all these things, they will cause some sort of turbulence in you and then some sort of anger in you. So that is transformed into this initial desire is transformed into krodha, some anger, disgust, all these things. So kama, krodha, lobha, moha, that sequence is there. Of course, that sequence is not explained here, but then if we see that sequence, one born out of the other, one born out of the other, it is something like a sort of chain reaction. Then Kama Yesha, this is Kama, Sarvaloka Shatruhu, this is the enemy for everyone. Sarvaloka means for everybody. Sarvaloka Shatruhu, enemy for everybody. Yannimitta Sarva Anartha Praptihi Praninam. Praninam means for all the pranis, for all the living beings. This is the root cause for all anartha. Anartha means for all misery, for all their anxiety, for all their tension, worries, all these things. This desire is the reason. Then Praninam Sa Esha Kamaha, this particular Kama, Sa Esha means because the Kama is a plural, masculine, so Saha Esha, that is what is used. Kenachit, Pratihataha Kenachit, if by anything or by any person, if it is Pratihataha, if it is say obstructed, Pratihata is when it is obstructed by somebody, then Krodhatvena Parinamate, it gets transformed into Krodha. It is the same Kama undergoes lot of mutations. So something like morphing, we see this computer morphing, so something like morphing, it gets morphed into Krodha, it gets morphed into something else, morphed into something else, so like that. Krodhatvena Parinamate. Ataha Krodhopi Yesha Eva. So that is why he said Kama Yesha, Krodha Yesha. This is Kama, this is Krodha. So that is why, because the same Kama is getting morphed into Krodha, it is called Krodha Yesha. Then Rajoguna Samudbhavaha Rajascha Tad Gunascha Rajogunaha Samudbhavo Yasya Sa Kamaha Rajoguna Samudbhavaha. So we know this Rajoguna is there. It is one of the constituents in that Prakriti or Maya as we call it. Maya, we know that Maya is a Shakti which manifests in the eternal Brahman. So in that Shakti is having some constituents, it has some sort of some manifestation in that. What is that? What are those things? This Sattva Guna, Rajo Guna, Tamo Guna, and all the things which we see in the whole universe, they are products of those three gunas only. Various combinations of those gunas. All human beings and all animals or insentient things, all are combinations of different combination in different proportions of these three gunas only. And this kama is something which is a derivative of this rajoguna. Rajoguna inspires a person to achieve more, to desire more. He is always achieving, he is always desiring, he wants more and more and more. So that is the nature of desire. That is the nature of rajoguna. So rajoguna samudbhavaha rajasya tad gunasya. Raja means that is attachment. Ranjanatmakam. Ranjanatmaka, that is attachment. Raga, Ranjana, Raja, all these things, they are similar, they are from the same root. Raga, that is attachment. Rajasya tad gunasya rajoguna. It is a guna. Guna, in fact, it has two meanings. Guna means a quality. It also means a rope. Gunam. It also means a rope. What does a rope do? A rope binds anything. A rope binds a person. Pashaha, we know. Pashaha is what? Pasha is a rope. When you say pashu, pashu means what? Human being also is a pashu. So he is bound. Sa devanam pashuhu. So that is what it says. Upanishad says, Sa devanam pashuhu. So he is something who is bound. So if you are in that state where you think that God is something different and I am something different, and if you are always a supplicant before the God, then from the point of view of God, you are a pashu, because you are always bound, you are always tied, you are there only, and you may or may not spiritually evolve. If you are only seeking favors, you will not evolve. If you try to contemplate on God, if you try to think about the nature of God, and then if you say you go to temple, no doubt, but then don't seek favors. You think about the form of God. You think about the symbolism. You think about the philosophy behind that God, philosophy behind that whatever idol, it may be a idol, it may be a yantra, it may be something else. So when you contemplate on that takes you near. And then that gives you a higher result. That is what we saw in what is this Ishavasya Upanishad also. Vidyamcha avidyamcha yastadveda ubhayagam saha. This combination of this karma and combination of upasana, that gives a greater result. Always seeking some benefits from Lord Venkateshwara. You are at that level only. It is a sort of give and take. So anyway, so rajaha tad gunascha rajogunaha. Guna means a rope which binds. Then rajogunaha samudbhavaha yasya sakamaha rajoguna samudbhavaha. So this rajoguna is the origin for this kama. So that is why it is said rajoguna samudbhavaha. It is born out of that rajoguna. Then rajogunasya va samudbhavaha. So that is what, again giving another explanation, it is born out of that rajoguna. Then kamohi udbhutaha rajah pravartayan purusham pravartayati. So this kama, this desire, it develops some attachment. So the rajaha pravartayan, rajoguna, it ignites this rajoguna, it ignites that attachment, and then purusham pravartayati. It impels or it propels a man into further action. So you are having some desire. It's not stopping with that. It is slightly igniting your raga. You are getting attached to that, and then you are moving in that direction. You are slowly moving in that direction. So that is purusham pravartayati. It impels a man. It motivates a man to move in that direction to achieve it. Then trushnaya hi ahamkarita iti dukkhitanam rajah karye sevadau pravrittanam pralapah shruyate. So he is giving a slightly negative example where somebody comes to grief after doing something. Suppose he does something which is not according to dharma, and then he gets caught. There is a social taboo on him or something like that. So then he repents. He repents. Are trushnaya hi aham karitah. By my stupid greed, I was made to do this. Trushnaya means by greed. Trushnaya is tritiya vibhakti. Trushnaya, by greed, I was made to do this. Aham karitah. Aham, me. I was made to do because of my stupid greed. So aham trushnaya hi aham karitah iti dukkhitanam. What type of people? Rajah karye sevadav pravrittanam. All the people who are engaged in all types of servitude. Sevadav means seva is servitude. So going and working somewhere, maybe in the king's office, maybe in some government office, or maybe in some other office, some company, whatever it is. So you are engaged in a company, and then you may do some dharmika thing. You may be working according to dharma. Suppose sometimes you get some greed, some element of greed creeps in, and then you do something irregular, and then you get caught. So then you feel bad, you repent. Arey, by this stupid greed I was made to do this. So otherwise I would have got my promotion. So something like that. So trushnaya hi aham karitah iti dukkhitanam. So this fellow comes into grief. He is subsequently grieving. So that sort of utterances, dukkhitanam utterance. So the utterances of such miserable people is heard. So that is how he is saying the kama is impelling a person to do a thing. So dukkhitanam pralapah shruyate. Mahashanaha. Mahat ashanam asya iti mahashanaha.
Mahat ashanam asya iti mahashanaha.
Atayeva. Mahapapma. Kamena preritah jantuhu. Papam karoti. So in the second line of this shloka, Mahashano Mahapapma, we have seen these words. Mahat Ashanam. Ashanam means bhojanam. Ashanam means eating. Not only eating, gratifying your senses. In this sense, in this context, not only eating. Kama, you have a desire for pen, you don't eat a pen. You have a desire for a woman, you don't eat a woman. So like that, Ashanam means gratifying the sense. So Ashanam, Mahad Ashanam Asya. So that is, the more, you eat and eat and eat, not only eat, you gratify and gratify and gratify, but still you need more. So it never satiates you, it never satisfies you. So that is the picture here. Mahat Ashanam Asya iti Mahashanaha. So Mahashana, the meaning of Mahashana is something which is gluttonous, which is voracious. You feed it and it increases. Like we saw one shloka earlier also, like you throw more and more dry sticks into the fire, it glows more. Suppose if you want to quench fire, you have to put water. If you put dry twigs, it will grow more. So that is what is the meaning here. Mahat ashanamasya iti mahashanaha atayeva mahapapma. So that is why when you want more and more, naturally you have to take more than what is due to you. What is somebody else's thing, you have to take. So that is what is then that is what is called papa. That is what is called a sinful behavior, a wrong conduct, adharmic behavior. The Mahapapma, Kamena Preritah Jantuhu Papam Karoti. A person who is motivated by Kama. So that is the great examples we have got. Ravanasura, who was motivated and then who abducted Sita. Then the same Pandava, these Kauravas who tried to disrobe this power of Draupadi and all Draupadi. So like this. So this Kamena Preritah Jantuhu Papam Karoti. Of course, I am only quoting from Mahabharata and Ramayana. You can see any number of examples now. Then Ataha Vidhi yenam kamam iha samsare vairinam. So therefore, ataha means therefore, vidhi means janihi, you please know, yenam, this kamam, iha, in this world, iha means samsare vairinam, you please know it as an enemy. It is your arch enemy, which has to be vanquished. In fact, Madhusudana Saraswati gives another small additional comment also here. This is such an enemy that if you want to vanquish an enemy, you have some strategy. Normally, what are the strategies for vanquishing an enemy? There are 4 things. That is Sama, Dana, Bheda, Danda, Upaya. We say that there are 4 strategies for vanquishing an enemy or controlling an enemy or overpowering an enemy. What is this? One is the Sama. Sama is a slight cajoling and then slightly pampering and then befriending and then trying to do something. Then dana, that is bribing, giving some money and then buying peace. Then bheda. So bheda is something where you try to divide, you create enmity among the enemy group. So there is an enemy group. So in that, within the enemy group, you create some enemy. So you create some enmity. Then when all these things are not possible, when sama is not possible, when dana is not possible, bheda is not possible, you have to only use say the raw power, that is a hard power as they call it. So this hard power has to be used when these things, the other things, they fail. So that is called danda. In fact, I told the story of what is this Lord Hanuman also. Hanuman, I think I told you this shloka from Ramayana. After seeing Sita, and then after he had a dialogue with this Sita, and then after he takes this Anguli, that ring from Sita, then he gets an idea. So, you see, I have come all the way from somewhere, that Dandakaranya, to this place. And now the task is that this Ravana has to be vanquished. Sita is not coming with me. He requests Sita to come along with him. So she says, no, I cannot come with you. It is appropriate for Lord Rama to come here, vanquish this fellow, and then take me. So that is what she says. Then he thinks, so now as a good mantri, as a good say minister of Sugriva, as a good counselor or minister of Sugriva, it is my duty to assess the enemy's strength. So in order to assess that enemy's strength, he breaks that forest, and then some gods come, he thrashes them and then sends away. Some other bigger fellow comes, he thrashes that bigger fellow also. So like that, ultimately Ravanasura sends some other bigger fellow, so he thrashes them also. So at that time he tells his logic. His logic is, na sama rakshassu gunaya kalpate, na dhanam arthopachiteshu yujyate. He thinks in himself, what is it? All these people are rakshasas. They are all cruel people. Rakshasa means not demons, cruel people. Na sama rakshassu gunaya kalpate. This sama, this talking to them nicely and then trying to do something, cajole them, pamper them, is not proper. Na dhanam arthopachiteshu yujyate. When these people themselves are super rich, there is no question of giving them any bribe or anything, and what can Lord Rama give? Then, na dhanam arthopachiteshu yujyate, na bheda sadhya baladarpita janaha. All these people who are baladarpita, they are so proud, arrogant with their strength. So the people who have that arrogance of strength, they cannot be, it is very difficult to use that bheda. This bheda cannot be used. Then what is that? Na dana bheda sadhya baladarpita janaha parakramastveva mameha rochate. Parakrama, that is that dandopaya. Parakrama is showing our own strength. That dandopaya is the only plan here. So that is what Anjaneya thinks within himself, and then goes about destroying that Ashokavanam and whatnot. So like that, Madhusudana Saraswati says, this is he gives some logic saying that this vairi, this kama is something which cannot be commonly controlled. It has to be used, this dandopaya, this ultimate weapon, the strongest weapon has to be used in order to control this kama. So that is what this Madhusudana Saraswati says, because it is saying Mahashanaha, Mahapapma. So when the enemy is so strong, you have to use the dandopaya only. So it cannot be controlled by sama and others. So anyway, next shloka. Katham vairi iti drishtantaihi pratyayayati.
Katham vairi iti drishtantaihi
pratyayayati. So, katham vairi, how is this kama an enemy? So this is how, by drishtantaihi, by giving some examples, he is going to make it clear to us. Pratyayayati means he makes it clear to us. He makes us understand. Pratyaya, we know. Pratyaya means pratyaya is you have some understanding. Pratyaya is basically understanding. Pratyayayati means he makes us understand. He makes us realize. He makes us understand. That is the correct word. He makes us understand. Drishtantaihi pratyayati. Oh, let us read this shloka. Dhumena avriyate vanhihi यथादर्शो मलेन च यथोल्बेन वृतो गर्भः तथा तेनेदमावृतम्. So this he is using the imagery of three different things. One is dhuma, that is a huge smoke cloud. A smoke cloud, it totally conceals something. It totally, suppose there is a human being there, or even there is a big house or something else there. So if there is a big smoke screen, under that smoke screen, that dhuma is smoke screen only. That smoke screen, you cannot see anything. So that dhuma is covering. It is camouflaging. It is covering something. Then there is a, suppose you take another mirror, a plain mirror. And suppose if it is a plain mirror, if it is a very clean mirror, you can see anything, you can have a reflection, you can see your own reflection, you can reflect sun's light and whatnot. But if it is covered with dust, so it is totally camouflaged, it is camouflaged with dust, and then it cannot reflect. If it is a totally dusty mirror, it cannot reflect. So that is yatha adarsho malena cha, yatha ulbena avruto garbha. So there is the human being before born, there is a fetus in the form of a fetus, and that fetus is covered or enveloped by that that womb. That womb is actually enveloping that embryo or fetus. So like this enveloping womb, so this man is totally under the control. It is totally overshadowed, overpowered by that by that ajnana. So this ajnana is the thing which is enveloping here. So the different shades of ajnana is being mentioned here. There are different degrees of enveloping. There are different degrees of overpowering, different degrees of covering your common sense, different degrees in which a person is made a fool. So that is the meaning here. Dhumena avriyate vanhi. What is it that is camouflaged here? It is jnana which is camouflaged. What is it which is covered here or enveloped here? It is jnana. Jnanam is concealed, jnanam is enveloped, jnanam is covered or camouflaged. So that is why different degrees of covering or different degrees of enveloping or encircling something is given here. Dhumena avriyate vanhi means vanhi. We know what is vanhi. Vanhi is fire. Fire is a totally covered by a smoke screen. You cannot see the fire, you are only seeing the smoke screen. So fire is there, but then you are not able to see that. Dhumena avriyate. Avriyate means it gets covered. It is in Karmani Prayoga. It gets covered by dhuma. Then yatha adarshaha malena cha avriyate. Avriyate, it applies to other things. Yatha adarshaha. Adarsha means, adarsha does not mean a model. In Telugu, we use the word wrongly. Adarsha means a mirror. A mirror, malena avrutaha. Malena means with all dirt. It is covered with dirt, avriyate. Then, yatha vulbena. Vulba is a womb. Vulbena avrutaha garbha. Garbha is that embryo or that fetus within that womb. So it is totally enveloped or encircled. Of course, that womb is there basically to protect the child. So we should not take that meaning. When a comparison is given, so only a simile, any simile has to be taken to a limited extent. Simile should not be taken to a ridiculous extent. Too many things cannot be compared. Only one aspect can be compared. Suppose you say your lady love, her face is like moon. So that is what is the favorite expression of all the poets. So her face is like the moon. Traditional, particularly all Indian poets, they compare a woman's face with the moon. So okay, to some extent that whiteness and shining and then coolness and all that radiance, it is okay. But then if you want to discover that moon's spots and then all those things, then you are doing more disservice to the woman than any service. So like that, we are not supposed to drag a simile out of the context. You are not supposed to overstretch all these comparable qualities. Compare and contrast we should not do. Anyway, yatha vulbena avrutaha garbha. So like just as the womb totally envelops this garbha, this fetus. So that is how tatha, in that manner, tena idam avrutam. Tena, by that this is encircled. That is what he says. Tena, by that means what? What is this kama? This kama, we are in the context of discussing what is this kama yesha, krodha yesha. So that is the context. So this kama getting changed into krodha, getting changed into lobha, moha and all these things. That is actually encircling this idam. Idam means jnana. So in fact, that jnanam, that is also it in the next shloka. Avrutam jnanametena. That next shloka says avrutam jnanametena. So this, what is it that is being encircled? Jnanam, it is being covered. Jnanam is being suppressed. Jnanam is being suppressed by all these three things. So that is the image given here. Notes, any other notes here? This yeah, Anandagiri and Madhusudana, there, of course, there is no great notes. Of course, some people have gone to explain why three similes are given. One is a smoke screen, one is a adarsha, that is a dust, the other is a total enveloping. So, of course, some people have explained, but it is not very much required. Dhuma is a smoke screen which is covering. Then the adarsha, the dust is something which is a sort of camouflage. One is a sort of cover, one is another sort of camouflage. Another thing is total envelopment. That is yatha ulbena avruta garbha, total covering. Garbha tatha tena idam avrutam. This jnanam is avrutam, means that is over, that is totally avaranam, we know. Avaranam is, that is something which is says covering something. So it is totally covered. In fact, in what is this Ishavasya also, there is a mantra which we have seen, which I was seeing. Hiranmayena patrena satyasya apihitam mukham. Of course, we have to do that yet. Okay, anyway, we will see this bhashyam. Dhumena sahajena avriyate vanhihi prakashatmakaha aprakashatmakena yathava adarshaha malena cha yatha ulbena garbha veshtanena jarayuna avrutaha achhaditaha garbhaha tatha tena idam avrutam. So in one sentence it is completed here. Kamena avrutam prakaratrayena api tena kamena avrutam. That's what he says. Okay. Dhumena sahajena avriyate vanhihi. Dhume, I said, explained it. Sahajena means naturally. That is, here we are using this word sahaja to refer to this human swabhava also. This swabhava is kama, krodha. So this kama, krodha is his nature. That by that nature or by that gunas, his jnanam is being enveloped. So that is why he is using the word sahajena. This sahaja, dhuma is something which is sahajam to vanhi. So vanhi is getting covered by that smoke screen. Then prakashatmaka aprakashatmakena. Vanhi by itself is prakashatmaka. Vanhi, this fire, it also gives light. This fire also gives light. But unfortunately that is covered by a smoke, a huge smoke. Aprakashatmakena, by that smoke which is of the nature of obstructing this prakasha. So that is why it is aprakashatmakam. Then yathava adarshaha malena, like this mirror by dust. Yatha ulbena, ulba means garbha veshtanena. Garbha veshtana means that which is covering that garbham. Jarayuna, there is a technical word in Sanskrit which is called jarayu. Jarayu is that, I think it is also called placenta or something, I am not very sure. That is the womb. Inside that womb there is the entire placenta is there. Jarayuna avrutaha achhaditaha garbhaha. This entire embryo is achhadita. Tatha, in the same manner, tena idam avrutam. Tena idam means it is by this kama, this jnanam is covered. So let us see this next thing. Kim punaha tat idam shabdavachyam yat kamena avrutam ityuchyate. So the same doubt which we have, tena idam avrutam, what is this idam? Kim punaha tat idam shabdavachyam. What is it that is being designated by the word idam? Idam means this. What is it that is being designated by this? In the earlier shloka says, this is covered by that. So that we know, that is kama. What is this? This is jnanam. So that is being made clear in the next shloka. Kim punaha tad idam shabdavachyam yat kamena avrutam. That which is being covered by kama. Idam uchyate avrutam iti. Next shloka. We'll read this shloka. Avrutam jnanametena jnanino nityavairina कामरूपेण कौन्तेय
कामरूपेण कौन्तेय
दुष्पूरेण अनलेन च.
दुष्पूरेण अनलेन च.
Okay. Avrutam jnanam etena. Avrutam jnanam etena. That is, etena kamena. Etena means by this. Anena. Etena. By this kama. Avrutam. What? Jnanam. Jnanam is avrutam. Jnanam is surrounded. Jnanam is encircled. Jnanam is overpowered. Then jnaninaha nityavairina. And then he is giving another adjective for this kama. What is that? Jnaninaha nityavairina. This is a constant enemy for a jnani. So you see the word jnani, it is a constant enemy for jnani only. It is not an enemy for ajnani. Ajnani likes it. Ajnani, when there is a kama, he likes it, he enjoys it, and then maybe at a later stage he feels he repents. But then a jnani is a fellow who is aware, who has done this Shravana Manana and a lot of study of the nature of Brahman and whatnot. Then, but still his nature is there, this Swabhava, this Prakriti, Swatvika, Rajasa, Gunas, all these things, they keep dragging him, they keep nibbling at him. So it is a Nitya Vairi, this is a constant enemy. Like some Pakistan or China, they constantly try to nibble at us. So this kama is a desire, is something which is constantly nibble at us. It constantly provides some small attraction. It constantly gives us some allurement. So it drags even a jnani. Jnaninaha nitya vairi. So that is why it is said, it is not a nitya vairi for an ajnani. It is a vairi only at a final stage. So after he gets doomed, then only that murkha or an ajnani, he realizes that because of this kamena I am dragged into this muddle. So that is what he thinks at a later stage. But a jnani is somebody who has to constantly encounter this, constantly fight this. So eternal vigilance, as they say, eternal vigilance, there is a saying, eternal vigilance is the price of democracy. So this democracy has to be protected by eternal vigilance of all people. Eternal vigilance of people, eternal vigilance of press, media, and all these people, they have to be eternally vigilant. Only then democracy can be protected. So like that, a jnani has to be constantly fighting this thing. An ajnani may not fight. So that is why it is called Nitya Vairi. Nitya Vairina is Tritiya Vibhakti. Vairina, by this enemy. So that is the meaning. Kama Rupena. Another thing is Kama Rupena. It can give two meanings. Kama Rupena means but that which is in the shape of Kama. Kama Rupa is something that is that which has come in the shape of Kama. Kama Rupa, we also have another meaning. Kama Rupini, Varade Kama Rupini, what is it? Kama Rupini, that is in a positive sense. Kama is desire. Kama Rupi is in different forms, in so many forms. Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kama Rupini. When we call Saraswati, when we pray to her, O Saraswati, O Kama Rupini, it is helping us in so many forms. That Saraswati is giving us in so many forms, not in one form, but in so many forms she is helping us. Jnanam is helping us. That is Kama Rupini. Jnanam also is Kama Rupini, helping us in so many ways, so many shapes, so many forms. So Kama Rupena Kaunteya, here it means two things. So this Kama, this desire, where we are talking about the negative connotation, not the positive thing. This desire which is dragging us downwards. So this is taking so many multiple shapes. It is not in one shape, it is taking so many attractions, so many allurements it is producing before you, so that you can be dragged. Kama Rupena Kaunteya. Kaunteya is, hey Kaunteya, O Arjuna, O son of Kunti. Dushpurena Analena cha. Dushpurena, it is something which cannot be filled. It is something like a bottomless pit. Dushpurena. Purana means filling. Dushpurena means which cannot be filled. It is a bottomless pit. You have heard of this expression, bottomless pit. So you keep on putting and then it is a bottomless pit, it goes. So Dushpurena, and again another word is Analena. Anala, Shankaracharya has given a beautiful etymological meaning. Analam. Alam means enough. Na plus alam, not enough, means analam. So fire is something which it never says enough. You put more sticks and then it grows more and more and more. Analam, the standard meaning of analam is fire. So this kama is like a fire which can never get quenched by fulfilling what all it needs, what all it desires. So you give it, it again increases. You give more, it again increases. So something like it is like a fire which never gets quenched. You have to quench it only with water, but not by providing more and more firewood. So dushpurena analena, it is such a bottomless pit where there is no sense of enough. There is no word called enough in its dictionary. So there is no such word. That enough word is not there in its dictionary. So that is the meaning here. So see, this is shloka, you see, avrutam jnanam etena jnaninaha nitya vairina kama rupena kaunteya dushpurena analena cha. So this is, words are very simple. Let us see this bhashyam. Avrutam etena
आवृतं येतेन
jnanam
ज्ञानं
jnaninaha nitya vairina.
ज्ञानिनः नित्यवैरिणा.
So he is saying the same thing. This jnanam is covered by this kama or desire, which is taking multiple forms. Jnaninaha nityavairina, that which is an enemy, there is a constant enemy, eternal enemy for this jnani, because a jnani has to be constantly alert. So only paranoid survive, they say. Some countries they have a policy, only paranoid survive. So if you are not a paranoid fellow, you may not survive. It is also true. If you are not a paranoid fellow, if you are not constantly vigilant, you will not survive. There will be some enemy who is trying to overpower you, vanquish you, devour you. So anyway, nitya vairina jnanihi what is this? Janati anena aham anarthe prayuktah purvameva iti. Jnanihi purvameva janati. So that purvameva has to be brought to the word jnani, brought close to the word jnani. Jnani knows it in advance. Purvameva means in advance. Jnani hi janati, purvameva janati, he knows it in advance. What is it? Sorry? 4 minutes, okay. Janati, anena aham anarthe prayuktah. I have been, say, motivated or impelled into doing this wrong action by this stupid thing. Or I am being promoted. Ahameva janati, ahameva anarthe prayuktah. So just as that kama is trying to drive you, just as the kama is trying to put you in a wrong course, this fellow immediately he becomes alert. He becomes alert, this jnani becomes alert, and then he realizes that, oh, this desire is trying to motivate me in this wrong path. That is why it is a constant enemy. Jnani he means yasmat, because jnani janati, purvameva janati, he knows in advance. Anena aham anarthe prayuktaha. Anena, by this kama, aham, I, anarthe prayuktaha, I am motivated or driven into this wrong course. That is it. Then dukhi cha bhavati nityameva. So because he is struggling with it, so nityameva, that is every day, every time, dukhi cha bhavati, he also becomes sad, because every time, sad means he is under tension, because he has to encounter it every time. He is struggling with it every time. So that is the meaning here. Dukhi cha bhavati nityameva ataha asau jnaninaha nityavairi natu murkhasya. So Shankaracharya also says, it is not for a fool. A fool is happy. Happily he gets sucked into that thing. Happily he gets, what is it? Like somebody, some English poet said, the best way to, that is not poet, some writer, Oscar Wilde. Of course, it is not a good saying here. So he seems to have said, the best way to overcome a temptation is to yield to that. So this is such a fool. What to do? The jnaninaha nityavairina natu murkhasya. So a murkha very willingly yields into that. So he yields into that, okay, let me be happy with this. So this is also my right to commit a sin. So we can justify in any number of ways. So sahi kamam trishna kale mitrameva pashyan tat karye dukhe prapte trishnaya ham dukkhitvam apaditah iti. Sahi, so that person, who is that person? Murkha. What does he do? Kamam trishna kale mitrameva pashyan. Like I said, Oscar Wilde. Trishna kale mitrameva pashyan. That is, when he is subjected to that desire. Trishna kale. Trishna is desire. Trishna kale. during at the time when that is presented before you, mitramiva pashyan, he looks at it as a friend. He looks at it as a friend and then happily gets into that company. Sahi kamam tushna kale mitrameva pashyan. Kamam, he the same desire, he looks at it as a mitram, as a person, as a friend. And then pashyan tat karye dukkhe prapte janati. Once it gives result. So after all, he gets engaged in some action and that action gives some bad result. Suppose he is tempted to do something and in that temptation he is caught by police or something, then he goes, sits in the lockup, then again he starts repenting. Dukkhe prapte janati trushnaya aham dukkhitvam apaditah. By this stupid desire, aham dukkhitvam apaditah. So dukkhitvam is that state of being a dukkhi. The state of being in a state of misery. That state of misery is that dukkhitvam. Dukkhitvam apaditah. So that has been, that has fallen me, that has come to me, that has befallen only because of my trishna, my desire, my unnecessary kama, unnecessarily yielding to that kama. So that is it. Iti. Na purvameva. So he doesn't know it in advance. So the jnani knows in advance and then stops it. Whereas this man does not know it in advance. Initially he recognizes it, knows it as a friend or embraces it as a friend and then slowly goes into that. Na purvameva ataha jnanina eva nityavairi. So it is a nityavairi, a constant enemy only for a jnani. Kim rupena? Kama rupena. Kamaha ichha eva rupamasya iti. Kama rupaha. Tena dushpurena. Dukkhena puranam asya iti dushpuraha. Tena analena na asya alam paryaptihi vidyate ityanalah tena. So kim rupena, that is, by what is its form? What is the form of that? What is the shape of that, say, temptation? What is the state of that? What is the shape of that kama or desire? Desire which is, driving you to, say wrong action. Kama rupena. Kamaha ichha eva rupamasya. Ichha, desire, is the rupam. That is the shape. Asya. Tena dushpurena. Dushpura, he is explaining. Dukkhena puranam asya iti dushpuraha. With great difficulty it can be fulfilled. Dukkhena means with great difficulty also it cannot be. It means with great difficulty if you can stop it, it is okay. But then with great difficulty also you cannot fill it. You cannot quench it. You cannot satisfy it. You cannot satiate it. Dukkhena puranamasya iti dushpurena. Tena analena. Anala is giving the explanation. Na plus alam. Alam. For example, when there is if you go to some say traditional Panditji's house, there is a convention in some traditional Panditji's houses. When I was working in a place called Guntur, I saw that some traditional people during their lunch they only speak in Sanskrit. So ham pariveshayami, I want, can I serve you this? Then this man says, no, alam. Alam means enough. So alam is enough. If you go to Sringeri and sit with those Panditjis, so they will be talking in Sanskrit only. So supam pariveshaya, something else pariveshaya, that is you serve this. So when that server comes, he says alam. Alam is enough. So na plus alam is analam. So that is, he says, no, it is enough. For this thing, this is not enough. Na plus alam is not enough. So which means you put anything, it is going inside. Dushpurena analena cha. Na asya alam paryaptihi vidyate. So that paryapti or fulfillment is not seen. Paryapti is fulfillment. Na vidyate, it is not seen. That fulfillment is never seen. That is what is called anala. Tena idam avrutam. What is that idam? That jnanam is avrutam by this. So we will see the next shloka in the next class. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.